Watch from the beginning. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories of justice and karma. Asterisk, asterisk. An old man in worn-out clothes walked into Denver International Airport. His jacket had holes. His shoes had seen better days. His boarding pass was crumpled in his weathered hands. But what happened next would shock everyone watching. The airport security officer took one look at him and sneered. "People like you shouldn't be allowed to fly," she said loudly. "This is a premium airport. Maybe you should use the bus station instead." She grabbed the ticket from his hands and tore it in half. The entire security line fell silent. Passengers stared. Some pulled out their phones. But the old man just smiled and walked toward the administrator's office without saying a single word. Within 5 minutes, that officer lost her job. Lightbulb Why This Works Asterisk viewers are instantly curious. Why would tearing up a ticket have such consequences? What makes this old man so important? The injustice makes us root for him. His name was Mr. Samuel Mitchell, and he was 72 years old. To everyone at Denver International Airport, he was invisible, just another old man in old clothes. His name wasn't famous. His face didn't appear in business magazines. He dressed like he'd shopped at thrift stores his entire life. But what nobody knew was that Samuel Mitchell owned Denver International Airport. Not just owned it, he'd built it. 40 years ago, when he was a young man with big dreams, Samuel had started a small construction company. He'd worked 16-hour days. He'd taken risks that others wouldn't. He'd invested everything he had into growing his business. Over 4 decades, Samuel Mitchell's company had become one of the largest construction and infrastructure firms in the entire country. They didn't just build things. They built futures. They built cities. They built dreams. 23 years ago, Samuel's company had won the contract to manage Denver International Airport. Since then, the airport had become one of the busiest in America. Millions of passengers passed through its terminals every year. Security cameras recorded everything. Flight attendants directed crowds. Planes soared into the sky, carrying families, businessmen, and dreamers. All of it ran because Samuel Mitchell had the vision to build it and the wisdom to run it well. But Samuel was not a man who loved attention. He wore the same old clothes from 1995. He drove an old pickup truck. He didn't wear a Rolex. He didn't brag about his company. He visited his airport almost every week just to walk around and see how things were running. That morning, Samuel had a 9:15 a.m. flight to Chicago. He needed to meet with a hospital board, another project his company was managing. He arrived at security 2 hours early, just like he always did. He wanted to see the faces of his employees. He wanted to make sure everything was running smoothly. But that day, everything fell apart. Lightbulb Why This Works Asterisk, we now understand the setup. Samuel is rich and powerful, but the world doesn't know it. He's humble. He's kind. He just wants to work and help people. The contrast between how people treat him and who he really is makes the coming injustice even more painful. The security checkpoint was busy that morning. A new officer named Rebecca Torres had just started working 3 weeks ago. She was angry about something. Maybe her personal life was a mess. Maybe she hated her job. Maybe she just woke up looking for someone to yell at. Samuel walked up to the security line with his boarding pass in hand. His clothes were clean, but definitely old. His shoes were scuffed. His wallet, visible in his back pocket, was worn leather from 30 years of use. Rebecca looked up from her desk and immediately made a judgment. In 2.5 seconds, she decided that Samuel Mitchell didn't belong in this airport. Not in the nice terminal. Not in the premium security line. Maybe not anywhere. "Excuse me," she said sharply, her voice dripping with disgust. "I need to see your ticket." Samuel smiled politely and handed it to her. It was a first-class ticket. Premium seating. The kind that costs over $2,000. Rebecca's face twisted. "First class? You?" She laughed out loud. The people behind Samuel started staring. Some pulled out their phones. Others whispered to their friends. "I'm sorry," Rebecca said, not sounding sorry at all. "But there must be a mistake. First-class tickets don't go to people like you. You probably grabbed someone else's ticket by accident. Or maybe someone gave you their old ticket as a joke." Samuel tried to speak. But Rebecca cut him off. She waved her hand dismissively. Look, I'm going to do you a favor. Instead of arresting you for ticket fraud, I'm going to tear this up and let you go. You can try flying coach next time, if you can actually afford it. She grabbed the boarding pass from Samuel's hands and ripped it straight down the middle. The two pieces fell to the floor like dead leaves. The security line erupted. Phones were definitely recording now. Passengers gasped. Some people actually applauded Rebecca's bravery in standing up to what they assumed was a scam. But Samuel didn't raise his voice. He didn't get angry. He didn't yell or cry or demand her badge number. He simply picked up the pieces of his ticket, smiled sadly at Rebecca, and walked toward the administrator's office on the second floor. His worn shoes made quiet sounds on the marble floor as he left. Rebecca watched him go, still smirking. Her co-workers congratulated her. "Good job keeping fraudsters out of here," one said. "We need more officers like you," another added. Rebecca felt proud. She felt powerful. She'd taken down a scammer, right there in front of everyone. She had no idea what she'd just done. Light bulb why this works asterisk, the audience now feels angry. Rebecca is cruel and disrespectful. She humiliates Samuel in public. She makes assumptions based on his appearance. She lies to him. We're desperate to see what happens next. We want justice. The administrator's office was on the second floor. Samuel walked in slowly, still carrying the torn pieces of his boarding pass. The office manager, a woman named Jennifer Chun, looked up. Jennifer had worked for Samuel for 12 years. She recognized him immediately. Her face went pale. "Mr. Mitchell," she said, jumping up from her desk. "What happened? Why are you here?" Samuel showed her the torn ticket. He explained everything calmly. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't make it dramatic. He just told the truth. Jennifer's expression changed from shock to anger. "That's completely unacceptable," she said. "That officer needs to be fired immediately." "Actually," Samuel said gently, "she's just doing what she thinks is right. She made a mistake. She made an assumption. But she was trying to protect the airport from what she thought was fraud. That's not a firing offense." Jennifer stared at him. "Mr. Mitchell, she tore your ticket. She humiliated you in front of dozens of passengers. And you want to protect her?" "I want to teach her," Samuel replied. "There's a difference." Within an hour, the entire management team knew what had happened. Security footage showed everything. Rebecca's harsh voice was crystal clear on the recording. The way she'd torn the ticket. The way she'd mocked Samuel in front of everyone. Rebecca was called into the office. She walked in confident, probably thinking she was about to receive an award. But when she saw Samuel sitting in the chair, and when Jennifer explained who he actually was, her face went white. You're the owner?" she whispered. "I am," Samuel said simply. "But more importantly, you treated a human being badly today. And you did it based on how they looked, not who they are. That's something you need to think about." Rebecca started crying. She knew her job was gone. She could already feel the future closing in on her. But then Samuel did something nobody expected. "You're fired," he said. "Not because you insulted me. Not because you tore my ticket. But because I need employees who treat every passenger with respect. Every single person who walks through this airport deserves kindness. And you weren't kind today." He paused. "However, if you're interested in learning to be better, my company is launching a new training program. It's called Dignity in Service. If you complete it over the next 6 months, and if your new employer recommends you, you can reapply for a job here. I believe in second chances." Rebecca couldn't believe what she was hearing. The viral moment hit the internet hard. Footage of her tearing the ticket started spreading on social media. Her name appeared in news articles. Comments called her cruel. Memes mocked her. She became famous for all the wrong reasons. But Samuel's humanity became famous for all the right reasons. Light bulb why this works asterisk instant karma. Justice is served. But it's not cruel justice. It's wise justice. Samuel teaches Rebecca a lesson instead of just destroying her. This makes us respect him even more. Asterisk, asterisk. 3 months later, Rebecca Torres completed the Dignity in Service training program. She learned about unconscious bias. She learned about how our assumptions can hurt people. She learned about the importance of treating every person with respect. More importantly, she learned that Samuel Mitchell was right. The old man she'd insulted wasn't poor. But even if he'd been poor, it wouldn't have mattered. Poor people deserve dignity too. Old people deserve dignity. Anyone wearing old clothes deserves dignity. Rebecca applied for her job back. Samuel personally approved her rehiring. She became one of the best security officers at Denver International Airport. She treated every passenger like they were someone's grandfather or grandmother. She greeted people with genuine warmth, and she never judged anyone by their appearance again. The story spread around the world. News networks called it the airport lesson. Social media called it the power of humility. Business schools started teaching it as a case study about leadership and human dignity. But Samuel Mitchell didn't give interviews. He didn't write a book about his experience. He didn't create a TikTok account to share his wisdom. He just went back to work. He went back to his office. He went back to visiting his airport every week, making sure his employees were treating people right. Years later, Samuel was asked in an interview, "What's the most important lesson you learned in business?" He smiled and said, "The clothes don't make the person. The person makes the person. I've met brilliant janitors and stupid millionaires. I've met kind homeless people and cruel CEOs. We spend so much time looking at the outside that we forget to look at the inside. That's where real character lives." The real message asterisk. Never judge someone by how they look. Never assume someone's worth based on their clothing, their car, or their paycheck. The universe has a funny way of teaching lessons to those who forget that everyone deserves respect. Samuel Mitchell didn't get angry. He didn't seek revenge. He chose to teach instead of destroy. And in doing so, he changed not just Rebecca's life, but the entire culture of his company. That's the real power. That's real leadership. Fire final call to action. Did the story inspire you? Did it remind you that we should never judge others? Please like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss stories like this. Comment below. Have you ever been judged by your appearance? What happened? Your story could inspire millions. Hit the subscribe button right now. Thumbs up asterisk.